I'm telling you right now, resilience is not the key. Pieces. So this whole like she was resilient, or God, Khatira, you were so resilient. No, fuck that. That resilience created really, really bad behavior. And now, because I'm choosing peace, I'm stopping, I'm taking a beat, I'm checking in with myself, and that takes time. And you can't have time if you have all these distractions in your life.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, you do need solitude. And I think the youth is figuring that out.
All I see is blessings on blessings, yeah. I see the blessings coming our way, our way, our way. Blessings on blessings.
I'm so excited to have you here, but I will say, Khatira, I always just call you Khatira.
Okay.
Can you pronounce your last name?
Rafiqzada.
Rafiqzada.
Well, you know, my name, Khatira, is also something that was given to me when I landed here.
Oh, what is your original?
When I went to the immigration office and I was filling out my Social Security application, my birth name, I can't pronounce TH, so
birth
there
name.
goes it.
Yeah, I love it.
Khatira. Ooh, I just lost my voice.
Oh, that took it out of you. Okay.
Khatira. But they couldn't pronounce the kh, so the way my name is spelled, it's Khatira. So they were like, "You're gonna be Khatira." I was like, "Cool, I'll be Khatira."
Oh, but that's not how it's pronounced.
The way it's pronounced is Khatira. So it's Khatira Rafiqzada.
Khatira
But
Rafiqzada.
I, if I'm being honest, I prefer Khatira just because there's like so many layers of me having to correct Khatira that I'm like, can we just say Khatira?
But I like
my
that.
husband calls me Khatira.
He does?
I don't think I've ever heard my husband ever call me Khatira.
No way.
No, from the day he met me, he has a gift for language.
Oh, wow.
So he just has an ability and I'm now learning that a gift for language is really a gift of listening.
That's right.
So he asked for my name. I gave it to him. He knew, clearly this dude has dated people from my world. He's like, no, how do you really say it? And I was like, oh, you say it Khatira. And then that was it.
Khatira.
That was the day.
What are your kids? How do they, I mean, of course they call you mom.
No, they say Khatira.
They do?
Yeah,
They do.
sadly.
But, okay, so how many languages do you speak, though?
I speak 3.
3 languages.
So I speak Hindi,
Uh-huh.
and I speak Dari, which is another dialect of Farsi, and then English.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what about your kids? Have you taught them?
So they speak Spanish
Uh-huh.
and they speak English, and it's extremely difficult for me to teach them Dari.
Really?
Yeah, because, you have to be consistent. The
Yeah.
reason why they're learning Spanish is they go to Spanish class on Saturdays for 4 hours.
Exactly.
And they've been doing that since they were 2.
Wow.
And then on top of that, they're forced to like listen to Spanish music, and they're forced to watch Spanish television shows during the week. So with me,
They're immersed in it.
yeah, they're not really going to be immersed with me.
Wow, that's amazing, though. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of, like, so do you speak Spanish, though, or no?
No, not a
Oh.
lick. I mean, I know how to say what your name is. That's it.
And what about your husband? Does he speak a lot of languages?
He can, I think he would say conversational.
Okay.
So he speaks Spanish in conversation.
¿Cómo estás?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
me
then
too.
he lived in Italy for a very short period of time, so he could probably say things that could get him around in Italian.
Right. To
And
be able to
then-
maneuver the city.
Yeah, and he played a role where he was a Muslim man, so he learned how to say a lot of things in Arabic. So I'm telling you, he has a gift, and now my son has that gift.
Oh, I love that.
It is the most beautiful thing to witness, because my son also is obsessed with music. Like, his taste in music is elevated in a way where I will literally put money on him on any other kid his age.
Really?
We were just in Brooklyn, and I'm thinking to myself, look at all these kids, these beautiful Brooklyn kids who got so much swag, and my kid is like, Rakim is a little bit of a nerd. And I was like, all right, so I'm carpooling them to basketball camp. And while I'm carpooling, I'm like, all right, you guys, let me know what music you want to listen to. And one of them was like, I love tacos. And I thought it was a joke. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what? He goes, I love tacos. And then I come to find out that's an actual song. And I thought that was so cute that this 10-year-old boy likes this song. So then I asked the other kid, I'm like, all right, what song do you want? And he's like, I love burritos or something like that.
No.
And that was an actual song.
No.
So then I thought to myself, I'm scared because by the time it gets to Rakem's turn, they're really going to be like, either make fun of him or not.
Yeah.
So I asked Rakem and he's like, I want Far Side. And I was like, oh, here we go. And then the next time roll came around and he asked for like a Metallica song. And then the next round came along and he asked for, I think it was like he just has a he's obsessed right now with anything that has to do with Nigeria.
Oh, really?
So all the Nigerian musicians, all South African.
Wow.
And because he has the same gift that Michael does, he will literally sing the whole song in the native language.
Wow.
Because to him, he's just listening.
That's right. And
he has no idea what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's just repeating the song.
Oh, that's pretty dope. That's
and
a great skill
all
to
those
have.
kids in the car were like, what? You can't shoot a ball
but
for the life of you. But yet you like this?
You can literally mimic a song in another whole other language.
And also like your taste. You're asking for 90s hip hop and 90s metal, like grunge music and punk music and hip hop music.
I also love the fact that even how you're even explaining you as how you and Michael parent, right?
Yeah.
Like we were in Brooklyn for, a month, taking them to basketball camp. Like I love that.
Yeah.
You just literally got back from what, a 5-country summer 5-week 10 countries. What is this? Tour across the world?
Yeah, we went to 4 countries, 13 cities, 3 islands, and like 11 plane rides.
What?
With a carry-on.
That's what I was just about to say. I saw that on your Instagram post. It was like 1 suitcase each.
Yeah, 1 suitcase each and 1 backpack each.
How, Sway?
I will say I'm very nomadic.
Uh-huh.
Like I've had 27 address changes in my life. I've lived in many places. So it's hard for me to sit still.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the cons of that is, being in LA and feeling like you can't move because there's a pandemic.
Right.
And so this was a very ambitious trip because I felt suffocated in a lot of ways. I was like, I need to escape and I need to leave and I need to see the world. And then because my whole life I've traveled and I've moved around so much, a lot of my moving was never out of luxury. Mm-hmm. It was out of you're escaping a war.
Necessity.
So you had to just take a carry-on.
Yeah.
It wasn't because you wanted to.
Right.
It's because this is the only amount of clothes you're allowed to take with you. So I've been conditioned into thinking that all you need is this much. Mm-hmm. And then come this summer where there were all these airport strikes.
Yeah.
So I saw what our friends were going through
with lost luggage and everything.
That was something that already came natural to me. I just turned to Michael and I was like, I get it that it doesn't make sense to take a carry-on with 2 kids, but we have to somehow make this work because I'm not going to lose a luggage.
Yeah, no, you can't.
And our trip was very ambitious. It's not like we're in one country and driving to different cities.
Right.
We're going through customs. We're going through security on multiple airplanes.
Yeah.
And we're connecting flights.
Yeah.
But
what's your process with kids while you're out and about though? Like with 1 suitcase. I'm cool with the 1 suitcase. I love the idea of it. Right? But how are you turning over clothes so quickly?
Oh my God. This is the part that I do not miss about this trip. The amount of laundry.
Yes.
I mean, there are pictures that I will post whenever I come around to it where you see this incredible view of the ocean and then in front of the view is all of our clothes hanging on dryers.
I was just waiting for it. I was waiting for the hanger line.
They're all hanger lines because in Europe, well, every place I rented, I made sure they had a washer dryer, but what I wasn't anticipating is in Europe, space is very limited because Europe is much older than America.
Right.
So these buildings we're staying at they don't have the infrastructure for a washer and dryer. Right. So everything is in one.
Right.
And if everything is in one, oh my God,
the
time it takes, and not only that, but the dryer setting, it's like your shit's gonna turn out to be extra, extra small after you put that in there. We learned the hard way. Everything shrunk the first leg of the trip.
Dang.
So we had to start hang drying everything.
Look, I think it just reminds me of like my grandma's backyard.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you look, if you were gonna have one
Yeah.
whatever, this was your
Yeah.
outfit, whatever. We had
Yeah.
like very minimal things. You had to hang it on the line, and that's just how it was. So it's just you got used to it. I love the fact that you guys travel like that, though.
No, this trip was very high-low.
I love that.
The high was some of the hotels we stayed in and
Yeah.
some of the experience, and the lows were really low.
Like we were,
Like-
y'all were getting into it.
Yeah,
but I
you're-
think that's a good lesson for the kids, right?
it's amazing.
like we're in this. We're a family. We're in
Yeah.
this together.
Yeah.
We're just gonna like pick up and we're out.
I mean, my kids, I gotta tell you that the 7 weeks we were on this trip, they were such G's.
Really?
I mean, my only complaint is that they really, really dislike each other right now.
How old are they now?
They're 5 and 9, so they fought
Yeah.
so much. And they're stuck with each other and only each other for a period of that time.
I don't think I realized that my youngest and this will be my youngest and my oldest.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one in between you I guess.
How old are your
Because
kids?
mine are 10, 7, and 4 about to be 5.
Yeah, you do.
So that's what I didn't realize that
Yeah.
we were pretty neck and neck on that.
I have 9 and a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
they-
so I could see that. Yeah,
They're fighting. They're 4 years apart and they're boy and girl.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the fighting was a
That
lot.
clearly doesn't matter though. Just so you know, I have
Yeah.
2 girls and then I
Yeah.
have a boy. It doesn't matter.
Really?
They're gonna fight regardless. Like my 2 girls, they love each other immensely, but yet, I mean, we were in the house yesterday,
Yeah.
and I swear they were like literally screaming, crying, yelling, fighting over a hairband.
But they're fighting like with each other.
1,000%.
You know, this is the part of parent. I mean, there's a lot of parts of parent, but this is one of those parts that I wish I was like calm and relaxed like you are. It hits me
So hard.
on such a deep level because my brother and I were obsessed with each other growing up.
Really?
Obsessed. Like I think he was the definition of what my first love was.
How many years apart were you guys?
We were we were only like 19 months apart maybe.
Oh yeah.
But I also think that there was so much conflict in our
Yes.
house that
This is so
it
interesting
bonded
that you
us.
say this.
So sometimes I look at Michael, I'm like, yo, we need to start fighting in front of these motherfuckers.
It's not even that though. It's you know what, you're right though, because it's so crazy that you say this, because me and my husband, we literally just had this conversation the other day. We said, I don't understand. What are we doing wrong where they feel like they have the ability to even fight like this? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing wrong? So we actually started thinking about it and having a full on discussion.
Yeah.
And the conclusion we came to was that they don't have enough struggle.
Yeah.
They don't have enough like pushback in life or conflict, as you
Yeah.
say, right, in life, in the other things that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Everything is laid out for them. They go to great schools, they eat well, they have clothes, they can pick their after school activity, they can eat their snacks, we can go to the movies, like all these
Yeah.
wonderful things that thank you, that God, like thank you,
Yeah.
we feel blessed to be able to like have this opportunity. But at the same time, my husband and I, we weren't raised like that.
Yeah.
We weren't just like, oh, let's go travel, let's
Yeah.
go do this, oh, it's Friday, let's eat out. Like
Yeah.
we weren't that. And so we figured out, like we were literally, my mom was a single mom of 3 kids. My husband, like
Oh, wow.
he grew up very poor. So it's just like there were things that you were constantly always thinking about or dealing with
Yeah.
that they don't have to deal with. And so
Yeah.
all they know is to fight with each other.
I know. So that's why I think it hurts me so much
Yeah.
because I keep looking, and I also, as an adult, and seeing how friendships work, and seeing how, and having been somebody who moves a lot, having to always be the new girl and having to recultivate friendships, I also understand the importance of just simply family.
Girl,
Like
scream it,
people
scream
are
it.
gonna come and go like the way the streaming services are working
I
right
mean,
now.
like water.
Yes.
Like water, baby.
And family is network television.
That's right.
You're talking about 22 episodes, 10 seasons.
Oh, you did not break it down in
Yes.
Hollywood. Network
So
television is so true.
I just think
It's a
that
staple.
it really, really stresses me to no end.
No, that's a really good point. That's something that's really big for us too. And
Yeah.
you know, especially being in LA for us
Yeah.
because I'm from Detroit. My husband is from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. And so we have a little bit of family here. I'm very lucky to have my brothers here. But his whole family, and Issa has a very large family, is all in the South. And so for us, we always just feel so kind of isolated out here in LA. And so whenever they fight, we're just like, y'all can't. Sorry, hug for 5 minutes. I don't know, just figure it out. Like we always try and force them to like remember that they are each other's rock throughout all this.
So I have a rule that I have so many rules to try to figure this out. I'm losing my voice. Sorry
I want
about
all
that.
the rules.
Well, one of them is they're not really allowed to invite friends to a lot of things that we do. So I notice, something happened to me while I was growing up that really changed the path of where I was heading to life. And that was that one of my girlfriends invited me to a family vacation. That's for another time. But that moment and that experience really shifted my life. So I understand the importance of that moment. But in my own house, my kids are not allowed to invite friends to experiences unless they have shown me that they could somehow include their siblings in the experience. So even on this trip, in the middle of the trip, we met 5 other families.
Oh, nice.
Because I knew they were going to suffer with just the 4 of us.
Right.
So when we got to Greece, we met 5 other families. So they had a ton. I mean, at one point, I think it was like 17 kids.
Yeah, wow.
And we did a massive game night, and it was so much fun. But those families were traveling together. And my kids kept saying to me, like, why don't we do that? I was like, not until you 2 get along. And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to bring somebody so you could like now purposely ignore your sister or ignore your brother.
That's right.
I was like, no, man, you got both. I didn't go through all that.
Yeah, that's
To
right.
give you a permanent best friend only for you to be like, no, I don't want this one.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, no.
Very true.
That's it. You got each other.
We do the same thing.
Yeah.
Our rule is exactly the same. We don't invite a lot of friends to like family things or even like if we're hanging out. I guess let me rephrase this. So we don't do a lot of play dates with them like together or invite them to things that we're doing as a family. That's 1. 2, we don't do spend the nights.
Nope.
That's one thing that
We don't do that
and
either.
my daughter is like, she just doesn't understand. Like she's just like, Mom, all of my friends do spend the nights. All of my friends.
You
are,
won't
like,
even
hanging
do
out.
it at your house where like she could invite friends?
We just don't do it right now. Where
Yeah.
I'm just like, like I don't know if it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
But whenever I talk to all the people I grew up with,
Yeah.
or whenever I talk to like my family
Yeah.
and like the people who I know since I've been born, we're all like, no,
Yeah.
that's not our thing. Like we're not like, like you don't need to be going over anyone's house. No, we're good right now. Like
Yeah.
it almost just, it feels like we only get a finite window for influence,
Yeah.
in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I need to, especially in a city like LA, where there's so many influences coming at them in all directions at all times, I feel like I only get this small window to make sure that they have the foundation that I want to lay. You know what I mean? And
That's
so
really
family
beautiful.
is very important for us. And so same thing,
Yeah.
like weekends, we do family things. Like we can do things with friends too. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. We'll do birthday parties. We'll have play
Yeah.
dates here and there. We'll do things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it is a time, because we're so busy during the week,
Yeah.
for us to really unite as a family. And we take it very seriously.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time together as a family.
Yeah.
We're like, this is your unit.
Well, I don't have a nanny. I don't have
Yeah.
childcare. I don't have any of that. I mean,
Yeah.
when they were much younger, I was blessed that I did have part-time help. But it's been 4 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a necessity
Yeah,
that
no.
we spend so much time. And even this vacation, someone said to me, goes, God, you were with your kids for that long? And I'm not like a mushy parent by no means. I think I'm extremely realistic, and I cuss and I tell them the honest truth. But I cannot
Me too.
imagine my life. I cannot imagine seeing this world without them.
Yeah.
Like there is no experience that I will do without them that for instance, like I go on meditation retreats alone. I go on hiking trips alone because I can't imagine them doing that at this age.
Right.
But if I'm experiencing anything outside of that, and if I see a glimpse of them enjoying it, I instantly go into, they should be here.
Right.
Why are they not here?
Right.
So
that's your way of showing them the world,
Yeah,
and showing them new experiences.
They're my whole life.
Yes, yes,
And
same.
I didn't want kids. I got knocked up. I knew I knew what it took.
You did.
I did not want this shit for my life.
Wait a minute. So how does that even happen? Like, right? So like, you never wanted children? Never thought that was a path that you would want to take?
My parents were teenagers when they had me, so they had no idea what they were doing, and in a lot of ways I was raising them.
Right.
And they were arranged, so they hated each other. So there was just so much conflict, and there was so much, and there was also this, like, you know, I never felt wanted growing up.
Yeah.
And then I raised my brother, even though we had very little
You weren't that difference in age.
no, but he's a boy, and you know, for a lot of years he was like, it felt like he was 8 years behind me.
Yeah.
And maybe I was just forced to grow up really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I was spending, as an 8-year-old, I was in immigration lines translating how to fill out the application. I was filling out the application.
Wow.
My mother had like a fear, like a genuine fear of driving on the freeway, but she was a housekeeper when we came to America. So in order for her to drive to those jobs, as a 14-year-old, I was driving her illegally.
Wow.
So I just think that I grew up too fast. And then when I got accepted to college, I went to a private institution in Northern California, and the neighborhood where I was going to school was extremely expensive, so I couldn't afford the college, let alone the neighborhood. So I moved in with the family as a live-in nanny. They had a full-time nanny, and then they needed somebody because they were investment bankers and they work on East Coast time. They needed somebody like at 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I became that person. So my whole life I've raised things.
Yeah.
And I
Nurtured
just
things,
wanted the second half of my life to just be about me.
That's right. Yeah.
And finally, like, pay attention to me. And then I fucking got knocked up.
And then you met that dude.
Who
Met that dude.
just did not. Yeah. So it happened. But I also had a very realistic version of what it took to be a parent.
Let's take it back though. I mean, because I just really let's just so you know, Cool Mom Code podcast is a place where we honestly feel like we don't necessarily always talk about the motherhood of what our journey is, right? And that's not where our focus is. The through line is that everyone I talk to is a mother, right? We're mothers, and that's what connects us. But our journey to get to where we are sitting right now, how you are as dope as you are, cool as you are, you know, grounded as you are, how you successful as you are in this moment, is just your journey to get here. And what we or I really want to do with this podcast is to inspire every mother out there that no matter if you're a stay-at-home mom, a working mom, if you're still figuring out what this looks like in motherhood or whatever, there are people out here who have gone through a journey that you might be able to relate to. And the hustle's real regardless, right? And this is a journey, and this is how they've gotten to where they are. So I just really want to take it back because I know a little bit about, you know, your story and a little bit about, like, you know, the beginning, right? But like, walk people through where you were raised, like where you were born, how you got here, you know, and what your focus is now. I just want people to know a little bit about you as we kind of go into this conversation.
I mean, I was born in Afghanistan, Kabul, Afghanistan, and then we escaped. It's just such a long story, but I'm trying to make it short.
Do the short version, yeah.
We escaped. My mom, my brother, and I escaped. My father stayed behind, and we moved to India, where my Bollywood obsessions comes from.
Now that I have one too.
Yeah. We moved to New Delhi, and I lived there for a couple of years without my father. We moved with one other person, which is a whole other story. And we stayed in India, went to school, learned how to speak the language, was in the culture. In my opinion, that was my new life.
Wow.
Cultivated friendships, fell head over heels in love with India.
Wow.
Was conflicted why my dad wasn't there, but I was you know,
Still moving through. Yeah. You were
And then
adapting
I
because you
was-
were a child, and that's
yeah.
what children do. They adapt.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like that, literally overnight, we're leaving. Pack your bags. And the bag for me at the time was a backpack.
Wow.
And we left. I never got to say goodbye to
Wow.
any of those friendships.
Really?
Never turned in my homework.
How old were you?
I was, this is where it gets a little foggy. In my memory, I was 12. But recently I was speaking to my dad and he was saying, no, I think you were a little bit younger than that. But I was 12. So from 8 to 12,
Right.
I was there.
Yeah.
In
Which
my
are
memory.
pretty major years.
Major
8
years.
to 12.
Yeah. And then we came to Northern California, and, you know, my mom was a housekeeper, and we were on welfare. We were in Section 8 housing, and I didn't speak a lick of English. Got bullied like crazy because of that. I was an accidental gang member.
Wow. Oh, yes. I remember this.
My God. It's just like the Latina group just took me in because I looked. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is a community. This is
great.
the way
That's right.
my culture works. I'm
That's
in a
right.
village.
That's right.
And these are my people.
They love me. They protect me. This is great.
They've accepted me.
That's right.
I think once they jumped somebody is when I realized, oh shit, this is not, I don't know if I'm down
good.
for this.
I'm
What's
good.
happening?
On
And
second thought.
On second thought. And I remember one of my girlfriends who was just way too popular to like claim me as a friend in school, but she lived next door to my aunt. And when we first came to America, we lived with my aunt. And she
Okay.
was one of the first person I ever met, Michelle. You know who you are. She's still in my life. And she like whispered, you're in a gang, while they were like beating up people.
No.
And I just looked at her. I was like, what is a gang?
No. No.
And she goes, a gang, you're a Crip. I'm like, a Crip?
No,
No,
no.
these are my friends.
No.
She, no, Khatira, no, you can't get out. I'm like,
No.
no, I could get out. No, this is like family.
So what is that? Like, how
I
is it?
couldn't get out. They had to like, one by one. They went to juvie, or they got knocked up at like 12, 13 years old. Or they went to continuation school. And I just organically was left.
Wow.
And then I had to like reinvent myself. I was like, wait, so I'm not
That.
like a
yeah.
Mexican gay member?
Yeah, right. Like, that's
I
not
had
me.
no idea what was happening.
Wow.
So then, reinvent. I had to find my new crew, and I did.
Wow. And so, wait a minute. Is that where your passion? Because let's now fast forward. Because where I met you, where we intersect, is with Alliance of Moms.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I met you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. Like, if anyone's watching the video, you can obviously tell how beautiful, she is.
Yeah, I am
but
much better looking in person.
No,
I just
she-
want to make
how
that very
beautiful
clear. What you
she-
see right now,
Beautiful.
multiply that by 10
This
in
woman
person.
is beautiful. I mean, I'm telling you. But so I was obviously attracted just like to your instantly you seem so warm and welcoming, right? Like, beautiful person, but her energy. Your energy, I'm like talking to her like she's not here. Your energy was just like so infectious. And me, I'm a very I'm a people person. So like I instantly like feel either good around people or I'm like, I'm straight. But
Yeah.
either way, like I'll have a conversation with anybody, I'm not gonna lie. So if you meet me, I'm gonna have a conversation with you regardless. But
It's hard to believe that you would not like anybody.
well, I understand that people are very different. Like, I
Okay.
get that, and I'm okay with that. But I also understand me. I also understand how I operate, and this is maybe my thing, but how I operate. I also know that I can go either in deeper with people, or I
Yeah.
can just keep it at a certain level with people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very aware of
Yeah.
my range and where I can go. And now that I've displayed that, people are like, "Oh, she does keep me at a level." But
Oh, mental
hold
note.
on, wait a minute, but I'm very aware of that, just
Yeah.
but with you I instantly felt like, oh damn,
Yeah.
like there's something about her that like I feel like I could get deep with, and that's
You
just
know,
the first time I met you.
it's a huge side effect.
I
I'm
mean-
so glad that you were attracted to it, but I like to not be a downer. I don't have a lot of friends because of that.
I mean, I'll tell you the truth about me too. I don't have a lot of friends.
I really don't. It looks from like the outside in, like,
yeah, you look like you have a lot of friends.
but I think if you look at like my phone calls, I think I have like 3 friends in my life.
But I think that, my grandmother used to always tell me that, the older you get, if you have even amount of friends as one hand, you're doing amazing in life.
Well, I'll say this, where I am at this point in my life, because of what I've gone through in my life, and because there was like very early on, there was an understanding that I wasn't wanted. I unconsciously built this thing inside me that, because I couldn't control this feeling of not being wanted by my parents, I decided that I needed to make sure that I was needed. And if I'm needed, then you can't replace me because I'm needed. And sadly, the pattern that I created in my life is I started collecting friendships and relationships that all needed me. Because if you needed me, you can't leave me because I'm crucial to your life. So I spent so much of my life collecting tropical friendships.
So tell me about this. Like, before we got on, guys, she was telling me a little bit about the tropical friendships and her theory.
Well, I was saying that you are a cactus.
Yes. So tell me what all this means.
So I collect personally, for me, I think I was a very, very empty, miserable human being, and therefore, instead of who had like a massive ticking bomb inside. So I was constantly triggered. I was constantly trying to fill a hole that was like massive. So I collected tropical friendships that needed a lot of watering, and I was the water in a lot of ways, because that's the only way I knew what self-worth was at the time. And the more I dug deep, and the more self-awareness, and the more attention I paid in my mental illness, which all started once I became a mom, because man, kids are the biggest mirrors in the world.
They sure are.
So I started to put all this attention on, wait, what is this huge animation? I don't know how to say it, but like the weapon that I'm carrying. What is this
ammunition?
Bomb? Ammunition.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce that word.
Ammunition. Yeah.
Like, why am I constantly being triggered? Why is there even a bomb inside me to be triggered?
That's
and
right.
Why am I resenting the person that triggered me, when really, in reality, what I should be doing is diffusing this bomb so you have no way of triggering me.
That's right. So
And
you can't have the power.
You can't
over
have
me.
the power.
Right.
So the more work I did, and the way you diffuse the bomb is you have to dig in deep and find out what your truth is, no matter how ugly that truth is, no matter how shameful that truth is. So the more digging I did, the more, and I learned all this through all the many books and many meditation retreats and trauma retreats I've gone to. And I think Gabor Mate was who really taught me this. So I dug deep, and the more I got to know myself, the more I realized I have to deal with cactus from now on.
And cactus is what? Cactus is your version of what?
My version of a cactus plant is one that doesn't need much watering, but is like forever. It's the most like strongest plant. I mean, if you could kill a cactus,
It's pretty good.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if
That takes
you
a lot.
kill the cactus, it takes a lot to kill a cactus.
It does.
It does. But it is killable.
It is
if that's
killable.
a word. It is.
It can die.
It can't die.
It can die.
So I just, and the more you get to know yourself, and the more you realize that you need a lot of time alone, you need a lot of time for reflection, you need a lot of time to think about your behavior. Why did I do this? What was the patterns? Where is this stemming from? All that time that you need, you realize you have nothing left
I agree.
for anybody.
It's so true.
And suddenly this huge, colorful social circle you had becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And from an outsider looking in, you look really lonely, but it is probably the closest to true freedom I've ever felt in my life.
Really?
Like, I mean, my 2 kids and my husband alone suck so much.
I mean,
yeah.
listen, that's enough in itself,
And
right?
no childcare.
And no childcare. That's
Yeah.
enough in itself. I mean,
So-
I get the whole no childcare. We've never had childcare up until maybe like now we have, actually my assistant, she has a twin, and so her twin now helps us out, like, you know, with pickups and things like that, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, but
I've
I
never
also
felt
don't
any
have a
better.
job.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear. Anyone who
You have 1,000 jobs, which we'll get into. I want to go on the cactus
Yeah.
though. One more second, like this
Okay.
cactus thing, right? So I'm fascinated by the flowering and the water and the cactus, and because I feel like you characterize me as a cactus.
Well, what's beautiful about you, what I've noticed with people, because I have been around so many tropical plants in my life, I just, a cactus is one that, like, very little watering, and yet that person is consistent.
Right.
That
right.
person, it's almost like you're so confident and fulfilled in your life, you don't need much from me.
Yeah. Yes, but that, you know, and I was telling you on the like before we got started too, is that I totally understand that theory, and I think I am a cactus
Yeah.
in your terminology, right? Like how you describe it. I think I am a cactus. I don't think I need much watering. But I think in my world,
Yeah.
I feel like the danger of that is
Yeah.
because I am a cactus and I don't need much watering.
Yeah.
I think the danger is that it's very easy for me to also shut people down and
Yeah,
shut
you
people
said
away.
that earlier.
Yeah. And so I think that is, you know, also a
Yeah.
dangerous like
I
space to
do.
be in.
Well, you know, I'm not a cactus.
No, I you said that.
I'm actually a tropical plant.
That's interesting.
But the difference is that I am learning to just water myself.
Yeah.
I am a very complicated, complex person who, my husband's nickname for me, which is actually my nickname for most friends, but his is like literal. He calls me a cat. He's like, I
Wow.
never know.
Why? Because you're so unpredictable.
It's unpredictable. It's also like, yeah, you can touch me, don't touch me. Yeah, maybe I like this. Nope, I've decided I don't like this. Yeah, I think I could be down for this. Nope, you're in my space. I don't want you in my space. It's just like you never know what's gonna make this person truly happy.
Right.
So I've come to this place where I'm kind of like, I'm taking on all that responsibility for myself, because for so many years I think I put it on other people.
So what is your version? You talked about meditation and like hikes and things
Yeah.
like this and retreats. Is that your version of self-love?
Oh yeah, I think my version of self-love is finding my truth. And to find my truth means you really have to dig deep and find all your ugliness.
Ooh.
And find out, like, you know, what is it about you that's so shameful that you don't want to confront because you feel this immense amount of shame and guilt, like your ugliest thoughts. And then sit with them and find out where it stemmed from, where it came from, and hopefully try to make peace with it.
What do you feel like that process has done for you? Like that process of finding your ugliest thoughts,
Yeah.
sitting with the worst parts of
Yeah.
yourself. What has that done for you? And how long has this journey been?
I mean, I think, you know, it started 3 years ago. 3 years ago is when I was forced to do this by an incident occurred, and it forced me to dig deep and find my role in that incident. And once I realized what my role was, then I wanted to unpack that. And once I started unpacking it, all the other patterns showed up.
Wow.
And once the pattern showed up, you can't ignore a pattern.
No, you can't. Once you know.
Once you know, you
can't
cannot
ignore it.
You can't ignore it.
Exactly.
So then I think that, like I said, life from an outside looking in looks a little lonely because I'm always alone now. But I have genuinely discovered a sense of peace that I don't think I ever knew, and that peace comes from forgiving, from accepting, from knowing that you actually have a lot of choice in life,
Right.
despite your circumstance.
So true.
And just, I mean, I'm still a work in progress.
As we all
yeah.
are. As we all are.
God, every day
Every
I find
day.
out something new. I'm like, God damn it, I thought I was good at this.
You know what I've come to realize through just like life? And just being like, in my early 40s now, right? Like just being there in that space, I think I've come to realize that the power of thought.
Yeah.
The power of thought is a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And it's like what you think is exactly how the world will see you and how you will manifest things into your life.
Yeah.
And that has been an interesting space to be in, to be honest with you. This is loud. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like there's thunder going on behind me. It really does. Do you feel like there's thunder?
I do. There is a storm coming.
Yeah, maybe.
So
Let's call it
maybe-
thunder.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's trash cans, but if you want to call it thunder, we call it thunder. It might be construction. It could be anything.
But I do want to go a little bit back to that tropical plant.
Okay.
I want to say that as a tropical plant myself, I do not blame the tropical plant people in my life because I am one of them.
Yeah.
I understand that I cultivated those relationships.
That's right.
And I set a standard that I could never live up to because it wasn't sustainable because you got 2 kids and a husband.
Well, now you know that, but maybe in the beginning
In
of
the beginning, I had
relationship-
no idea.
Yeah.
But because I couldn't live up to those standards, I kept failing. So imagine the cycle of feeling like you were never wanted.
Right.
Then you cultivate these friendships that needed you, but you couldn't. And you
Upkeep the
set the
bargain.
boundary. You set
right.
the foundation of I'm gonna be there for you.
Right.
That person's not asking. That
Right.
person's a tropical plant. But if people come into my life, I mean, now I understand better. I tell people, I'm like, you don't want me.
Yeah.
You should go. But
That's so
back
interesting.
then, you're like, oh shit, if you want to water me, cool, I'll take it. And then one day you stop watering me. It's like, bitch, why'd you?
Yeah, exactly.
Where
Why-
are you?
Yeah, exactly.
You said you were gonna water me every
You know
Tuesday.
what's so crazy is that before this conversation, I was thinking about what your intro would be. Just I don't know. It's just some weird thing I do. And I was just like, oh man, her intro would just be like, she's the friend you would want to have. She's the
You don't want
loyal,
me.
and that's so interesting that the whole conversation. This is before we sat down.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, Khatira and I have not seen each other in probably 3 years.
3 years.
Easy through COVID. Easy 3 years. We haven't talked to each other. This is our first time talking within 3 years.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking of it, though, I was like, nah, just because the type of chick she is, the type of woman she is, I'm like, no, she's the friend you want to have. Like, she's the one you want to have in your corner, right behind you, right here, side by side, y'all fighting through it together. And literally the whole conversation has been pretty much like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to be over here with my cactus life, okay? I got a couple waters over here, flower plants here and here, but I'm good. I'm going to sit right here.
Because
I'm looking for cactuses right now.
Well, because the quality of my friendship is shit.
Well,
I keep failing, and then I feel the feeling of shame repeatedly.
I cannot imagine in my wildest dreams
That I would
your
fail?
friends. No. We all fail. We
Yeah.
all fail. That's a human. That's
Yeah.
a human characteristic we all have.
Yeah.
We're going to fail at something.
Yeah.
It is the idea that this whole thing, that balance or you can have it all, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, you can have a lot of things, and you can have a lot of people and relationships and friendships and love around you, surrounding you, career, all these things. Yes. But you're not going to be amazing at everything. It's humanly impossible. Something will fail, or something will take a back seat at certain times of life. Those are facts. And even as I have dove deeper into this side of my career, shifting and transitioning from what I was always accustomed to, right, and now going a whole different way. Friendships as now I'm a working parent, right? Relationship with my husband, all these things have changed, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's just a part of life. So you are not gonna sit here and sell me the fact that you are a shitty ass friend, or that you have failed in these relationships. Things have shifted in relationships. They can't possibly, in my mind, as you say it, they can't be failures. They've shifted.
What I am doing is I'm self-aware enough to know what my role was in those
That's fair.
friendships. It's
That's
not
fair.
my responsibility to call you out on your role. You
right.
have to come to that in
Agreed.
your own terms. All I could do is own up my side of the street.
That's right.
And there was some trash on my side, and there
That's
is
fair.
none now.
Yeah.
But there was.
I'm good. My side clean
Yeah,
now.
but there was.
Right.
And if I deny that, I'm just trying to live a very truthful life.
Yes.
And 80% of that, I'm going to show my own fucking shit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shit there.
That's okay. And I feel like that's a mature place to be. I also think that's growth. This podcast is sponsored by HelloFresh. So one of the things I love to do is cook with my kids. I mean, I love to cook regardless, but cooking with my kids brings me so much joy just because it reminds me of me in the kitchen as a little girl with my mom and my grandma. And my grandma used to love to make biscuits. And I regret to this day not having that biscuit recipe. But it's just one of those things that I truly like doing with them and like teaching them. And the holiday season is the perfect time to do that, just because you're doing recipes that are just so delicious and they have fun and they think that they're really a part of it. It just brings out a whole like family dynamic that just gives me all the feels. Well, this holiday season and every holiday season can be hectic, and that's where HelloFresh's 15-minute meals come in. So these quick fixes help you get a wholesome meal on the table in less time than it takes to get a delivery, which is super helpful when you have little hands that want to help you, or when you have to get a quick meal on the table while you're prepping larger dishes for your group of people that's coming over, or family and friends. It's just a really easy way to have something in your back pocket that you can get on the table super fast if you have a last minute guest, or if you need something on the table for your family. It's just one of those really quick fixes. And then if you're hosting this holiday, HelloFresh Market has just what you need to please a crowd without the hassle. I mean, from photo-worthy charcuterie boards, which I absolutely love just because I think they are a perfect go-to whenever you have a group of people, even if it's just your kids and their friends over, or if you have family, or even your girlfriend stopping by. Charcuterie boards are an instant winner. They have that to mouthwatering desserts that are just delicious and easy. And that's another way to cut all of this holiday cooking hassle in half. I'm telling you, just because sometimes the stress of just getting all the food in and the grocery shopping and like getting all the ingredients that you need for all these dishes is overwhelming. So this helps to kind of cut all that in half. I'm telling you, it's a really easy go-to, and you should definitely check it out. I've had really great experiences with HelloFresh, and I will be using them this holiday season for some of my go-to needs in between some of my bigger dishes. So definitely check out what they have. Go to HelloFresh.com/coolmomfree and use code coolmomfree for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/coolmomfree with code coolmomfree.
Oh yeah,
I think that is growth.
It's fucking exhausting.
It's exhausting.
God
It's
damn.
exhausting. It's
Yo,
growth.
it's not fun looking at yourself in the mirror every day and being like, damn, you fucked
But
up
like
again.
you said, though, you just said it. You said our kids are our mirrors.
Yeah.
So whether you want to look at it or not, you're seeing the reflection day in and day out in the little people that you're raising.
Yeah.
Right. And
no,
just think
it's been amazing. My whole parenting style has shifted.
yeah, I could
And
see
it's
that.
really, I have an immense amount of empathy for myself, because once you dig in and find your truth, you have to forgive yourself.
Right.
And you have to have empathy for yourself to be able to forgive yourself.
It's the whole thing of like, give yourself grace.
Yes.
Right?
So once I gave myself empathy, once I gave myself grace, my goodness, it will be extremely difficult for me to come across somebody that I would judge.
Yeah.
I'm at this point in my life where no matter who you are, no matter what your stuff is, I have the ability to somehow do the Kevin Bacon of like put you on a family tree on a piece of paper and literally track down where that came from, and then instantly be like, oh, this is why you're like this, and for that I give you grace, but my boundaries cannot have you in my life. But I don't judge you.
That's right.
I think you're a beautiful
That's
human
right.
being that's complicated just like I am.
Right.
But because I have so
That's
much
right.
shit that I need to like figure
Pile
out.
you on.
I can't really like bring you on. But right now we live in a culture where we're so easily calling people toxic.
Yeah,
And I
that's
see
true.
it in every fucking meme. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, yo, is anybody taking any accountability of what your shit is?
Do you-
I cannot imagine as human beings, as I mean, we are so hurt.
We are so hurt. I was looking at, this is so funny because this takes me to another thought, but this is kind of a side topic. However, I think you'd be a great person to ask this question to. So I was looking at this interview the other day, and I forget who the analyst was, but she was a tennis pro. She was probably a tennis star at one point herself, and she was an analyst. And so she was talking about Serena's game, and she was talking about Serena on the court. This was when before Serena's last match or whatever. And she was saying, she was like, the athletes now, like the tennis stars now or whatever, they just don't have the mental fierceness and competitiveness and the mental strength. And she was saying, but Serena, she's like, she has the mental strength. She will outbeat them each time mentally, just from up here, not even as a physical game, just mentally, she will constantly beat them out because her mental game is just so strong. But nowadays, our youth, they're just not as mentally strong as, what we're accustomed to or what we were raised in.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? That just mentally, the mental game now of young people and teenagers, 20-somethings, whatever they are, right, is just not the same as when we were being raised.
Well, I'm just going to, I don't know about, I'm going to speak on my own journey. Mm-hmm. I have so much empathy for the youth.
Yeah.
And again, I can't pronounce TH, so I don't know how that sounded in a podcast.
It sounds perfect.
But, all I had to do was compare this face with the people that I went to school with. So I had a very unrealistic, my husband says, what did he say? Oh, damn. But he said something about I am extremely confident. He didn't say this because he'll kill me if I took it as I am highly confident for a solid 7. And the reason, but you have to listen, the reason why I think I am highly confident for a solid 7 is because I compared myself to the people I went to school with. This generation is comparing themselves to the whole world.
This is true.
I mean, literally, they open up and then when it comes to bullying, I was always bullied because I was always the new kid, but the bullying stopped the moment I left school. Now the bullying's following you at home.
No, it is a much different.
And the global warming and our politics.
That's true.
I just feel like they have a lot on their plate.
They do.
And the reason why it may look like they don't have the mental, strength is because they have resources like the internet that's telling them what mental health is. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, I just got diagnosed with ADHD. Mm-hmm. I had no idea why I kept messing up at school.
No.
I didn't know why I was impulsive, why I had thoughts in my head, why the chatter wouldn't stop, why I was not that good in friendships.
Right.
And it wasn't until I literally had the resources that said, hey, you're this.
Right.
And I think the youth, because of the internet and because their ability to instantly be like, something's wrong, and then kind of have a quick answer to it,
right.
They're more aware. I think they're way more self-aware than we were.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that you're right. I think that with social media, it changes the game just instantly out the gate. With everything digital, social, everything at your fingertips, you're right. The world is literally a click away for them.
Can you imagine our kids? My daughter is going to come home and say, I want that.
Yeah.
And that person she's pointing to is in Brazil.
1,000%.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. But not even that. It's not even that. It's the dances. It's the music. It's food. Anything. Like everything is now at their fingertips, which is good and dangerous.
Yeah, there's side effects to everything. There's pros and cons to
everything. But I do agree with the bullying. Like even at school, I used to get teased so bad because I was so skinny. Mm-hmm. So skinny. They were like, oh my God, I could just kick you right now. Your legs will break. I mean, it was just like
in Detroit,
so skinny.
And culturally, I don't think skinny is something that is accepted in my culture.
Same. I had no curves. I mean, I literally was just straight up and down. And so I was tall. So I would constantly get teased or whatever. And I also remember for some odd reason, I remember the fear of being ashy. I was like, okay, I cannot go to school ashy. I cannot go to school ashy. So I used to put Vaseline all on my knees and my elbows, and I'd be super shiny because it's Vaseline. And so I'd be super. So anyway, my point is that, I think even just like you said, the idea of being teased at school, it stayed at school. Like now you come home, you're on the internet, you're on your device, you're on social, you're getting texts, there's group texts, there's all, which we didn't have that. And so
I honestly, I don't have the skin. I would have crumbled if I was. The fact that these kids have to deal with what they have to deal with, I think they are forced to create boundaries at a very early age, and I commend them for that.
Yeah.
Whereas I had to push through.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, resilience is not the key. Pieces. So this whole like she was resilient, or God, Khatira, you were so resilient. No, fuck that. That resilience created really, really bad behavior and bad patterns and bad choices. And now, because I'm choosing peace, I'm stopping, I'm taking a beat, I'm checking in with myself, and that takes time. And you can't have time if you have all these distractions in your life.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, you do need solitude. And I think the youth is figuring that out.
Right.
And I also hear people saying that, oh man, like, you know, they're not like, they don't make them like you do, because I was in the restaurant industry, so I was a labor girl.
That's right.
I worked 18-hour days and I just pushed through. And I just ran across one of my old bosses from this restaurant I used to run, and he would say, he goes, God, the turnaround is so high because the youth, they're just so lazy. They're just constantly quitting. They're unsatisfied. And I'm thinking to myself, or they know what they want.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to waste their time.
Right. Or they're more
I mean,
direct
listen,
about it.
there's a pros and cons to everything. If
Right.
I was an owner, yeah, that would
suck.
That would suck.
Right.
But if I was a 18-year-old at this moment in life, knowing what I know,
Right.
I too would be like, wait, I'm not doing this.
Yes. I mean, sometimes I wish, though. You know, they always say, what do they always say? Youth is wasted on the young. Or no, that's not it.
No, there's
There's
I'm
something
the
there,
worst.
right? Wait a minute. What is it? No, come on. What is it? It's not youth. Youth is
mean,
wasted.
there's two people
No,
in
maybe
here.
that is it. No, that's it. Youth is wasted on the young.
Okay. Yes. I think you're
Youth
right,
is wasted
because
on
as
the
we
young.
get older,
Because,
we know better. But if
correct.
they knew
If they
what
only
we know,
knew
they would
while
really
they were
take
young.
advantage.
Exactly.
Yes, you're right.
So I think that's right, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, it's like my grandma used to always say that, and I never understood what it meant until now, right? It's like now you realize, like, dang.
Yeah.
If I knew all this,
Man, give
I
me
would
time
be the,
travel.
I'd be the baddest 21-year-old out there. You
Give
couldn't
me
tell
time travel.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, nothing.
It's hard to make that statement because it sounds like you have regrets, but man,
No regrets. No regrets. I know that
Yeah.
literally everything I've been to has culminated in this very second moment right now that
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with you even.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything we've both been through, it gets you right
Yeah.
to this point. And that I will never, that's a thing. I that's a blessing.
but it's also why I love aging. I think
Yeah.
I'm the one of the only people I know in LA that's like excited about aging, because
Yeah,
to
that is
me,
you. That is you.
I'm making less mistakes.
Interesting.
And mistakes for somebody who has like horrible insecurities of feeling like she's misunderstood. To not make mistakes
Yeah.
is
crucial.
Oh my God, it
Yeah.
makes all the anxiety go away.
Yeah.
And mistakes meaning like I'm just wiser and I understand myself better.
Right.
So for me, aging has really been peaceful.
I love that.
Now, granted, I'm sure, there's moments I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, God damn it. But luckily, I don't get paid to be on camera, so there is a beauty around that. There's only 2 mirrors in my house.
Really?
2. Every time people come and they use the guest bathroom, their complaints are like, why is there not a fucking mirror
You
in
don't
here?
have a mirror in the bathroom?
I only have like 2 mirrors in my whole house.
Wow.
Because I think it was unconscious. I didn't consciously do that.
Right.
But I think I'm unaware of physical aging because of those moments. I don't get paid being on camera, so I'm not constantly being told like, yo, I'm not like, my face is not a brand.
Yeah. Even though your face looks like you are clearly 22.
Again, I look so much better in person.
I'm just saying.
So for me, aging has
It's really
really
hard
been
for
mental.
me to hear you talk like this. I mean, because I'm looking at you and I'm like, oh, what's she saying? Really ain't like correlating with what I'm looking at.
Girl,
But
I'm a late bloomer to the T. You should have seen me in high school.
okay, but wait a minute. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the food industry, because is
Yeah.
that where you found your passion for food?
I found my passion for food because it was the only time in my household that my parents weren't killing each other was at a dinner table.
It was your piece.
It was the only time that there wasn't fighting, violence, arguments. When there was food put on the table, suddenly everybody had that in common. And suddenly everybody was in like an even playing ground.
Right.
And I also, being a child that didn't feel like she was worthy of anything, making something with my hands was instant gratification of worth.
Yeah.
So, one, it was quiet and silence and peace. Two, I made something, and not only did I make something, I made something that you're going to eat and instantly turn to me and go, wow, that was good. Thank you.
Wow.
And instantly I got a dopamine hit. And I'm now learning that I have very low dopamine levels. So I got addicted to that feeling. I was like, wait, that feels good. That feels good that I do something for you, and then you instantly look at me as like I did something, like gratifying.
Yeah.
And it brought people together in ways that they wouldn't normally come together.
Right.
It didn't matter your status, if you were rich or you were poor. Like food was and also because I moved around so much, it was a way for me to cultivate friendships and cultivate community and food. I'm going to make you something, and then you're going to have to come over and eat that. And because now we're eating something, we're going to talk.
I love that.
And it just
But that's what it is. I
became-
mean, food is very communal.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. When you think about a gathering, when you think about
Yeah.
anything, family together, you instantly think of
Yeah.
food. But do you feel like so your passion for food obviously came
From a peaceful therapeutic place.
but
Yeah.
you were raised around it. You were raised with it. You were raised in the kitchen, right? Like it was something that
It was
came
a
very
huge
natural
part
to
of my
you.
family. My mom is one out of 8, and my dad is one out of 12.
Wow. Okay, so do you ever go to culinary school?
I never did. As like a 15-year-old, I started working at restaurants.
So you picked
So I
up stuff
never
there,
had
too.
to go to school but I also didn't know that was going to be like a passion. I didn't know that I was going to grow up and food was going to be, I was
think it's
doing it out of
amazing.
necessity because
Yeah.
they would hire you even if you didn't speak English because you're the prep girl.
Right.
So I started working at restaurants because I didn't have to speak English.
I just love the fact that you took something that was a necessity in the
Yeah.
home, right? Turned it into or felt a peace with it. Picked up so many things in restaurants, but honestly, you're a chef. I
No.
mean, yes, you are. Like, and the reason why, and so that's why I wanted to give backstory on how you got there, because literally, I feel like when you prepare, when you're doing things, you have such a skill with it. And it comes with like time. I know, I get it. But like it also comes through with a passion. And I just feel like you have your own style with food. But you've created, I personally feel like, a real lane with food.
Yeah, food has been, I mean, it's saved my life in many, many forms, but there is no version of me ever calling myself a chef. One, because my whole life I've been around chefs, and I really think that when someone is doing something full-time and it's their only source of income and it's their only source of job, they just know it better than I do.
Right.
So I'm always going to give them that respect. And like
I hear that.
you do this full time,
Right.
so you
This
know
is your
this.
art.
This is
Yeah.
your art. You
Right.
know this way better than I do.
Right.
But yeah, I am a really damn good cook. I'll say that. And then, so Alliance of Mom, my really good girlfriend, Yasmin Johnson, introduced me to St. Anne's, which is a group home in Silver Lake.
Right.
I walked into that group home and I realized there was a need. It is girls that are transitioning out of foster care. They're moms. They're either pregnant or they are
Right.
moms.
Right.
I mean, you're pregnant. If you're pregnant, you're a mom. But you know what I mean.
Yes.
And my group of friends, Yasmin and Danica and like Kelly Zyphon, like everybody got together,
Right.
and we started this program where we bring in a chef and teach these moms how to cook a healthy meal for themselves, and then we gift them cookware that they could take back to their
I love this, by the way.
space, and they could use all the tools that they just learned in the kitchen, and we gift them groceries as well. So it kind of took a life of its own, and then Courtney Storer came. Please, I hope I pronounced that last name, but she was the executive chef at John and Vinny, and now she's like a producer on that FX show The Bear.
Oh, wow.
So she came on and literally made it her own.
Wow.
Once she came on, it became the Courtney show, because she's just got such an innate ability to make you feel seen.
Right.
And she comes from like the streets of Chicago. Like, her story is not a cookie cutter story either. So she's extremely relatable, and she was amazing.
I just feel like, you know, I've known obviously about this for a while, because I know it's kind of a little bit of a chapter of Alliance of Moms. So a lot of people who are involved in Alliance of Mom have also helped out with this, right? Like this portion. But I just felt like it was just really amazing that you guys would even, because you can volunteer to come help you do it as well.
So it's changed a lot.
Since COVID.
I mean, everything has changed a lot. I don't think it's not a part of Alliance of Mom anymore, but it started there, and that's who gave birth to it.
Right.
Now it's just Courtney and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just us right now doing it.
And what's it called?
Break Bread.
Okay.
Yeah. But because of COVID, it's been really, really difficult to go in there and actually teach the girls how to cook. So what we've done instead in the past 3 years is we've taken their Christmas wish list, and we've fulfilled all of the girls' Christmas wish list.
Wow.
With the help of our community. We go over there for Thanksgiving, and we pass out Thanksgiving meals for them. So we still find ways to do it. And you know what's so beautiful is Rakim comes with me to all of these events.
I love that.
He's such an empath,
Yeah.
which has its own pros and cons.
I know.
But he comes and he looks forward to those experiences, and it's really, really beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, and
I love
hopefully
that.
we could get back in there.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just a special. It's one of the things that I think is so special about you too, is that I think that you have taken a part of your life and understand. You're a very relatable person. Not necessarily everyone can relate to your experiences, because I think your experiences are unique to you, and that's hard. Like, you don't come from an easy situation by no means, but I think that through that you understand people, and I think that is relatable, and so you come across as very like real, and I think that what you're doing to give back to women, and young women especially, who really need it, is a very powerful thing.
There is no version of me living through this life without giving back in some shape or form. What I went through, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for key players in my life who came and said, hey, you know, you could do it this way, or hey, if you want, what if we go this way? None of it I could ever fully claim on my own. There were key players that played their role in my life that shifted my path to where I am today. And for that, I'm going to forever give back. And also, I'm responsible for 2 kids who were brought up in a bubble, highly privileged kids.
Right.
So to kind of bring awareness of what it means to be the 1% of this world, and how the 99% live, and where you came from, where your mom came from, where your father came from. The only way you're going to really be able to teach them that is exposure. I can read the books, I can tell you the stories. You're never going to fully know until we travel, and not just travel to south of France, but travel.
Right.
Like,
see the world.
See the real world. I'm going to take you to south of France, don't get me wrong. But like, see the other parts of the world.
Yes.
And to show you what it really looks like to physically give back. And I feel like a lot of people in LA are aware of that. I see a lot of moms who have that awareness and that need, which is probably why people are constantly volunteering. I never have shortage of people wanting to help, because I believe it is a universal thing that we all understand, that our kids are brought up privileged.
I think you also attract those people to your life, you know? So I think the fact that you see it through that lens is really special.
I haven't seen a shortage of that.
Yeah, but that's also what you're attracting, you know? It's also what you're pulling into your world. Listen, I think that those are actually really important tips. to even just speak out loud, especially when it comes to kids, because that's my biggest fear. I think my biggest fear is being in a place like LA, coming from Detroit, and coming from my husband the South, and understanding that this place is so different than what we were used to or accustomed to or raised around. And my biggest fear is just that that'll get lost, right? Like, oh, we had it. You know how you meet the families where it's like, man, they're successful now. Like, my gosh, they like wealthy. They got it all, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Why they kids like that? Because it took them a lot to get to where they are. And it took every ounce of grit and strength and resilience, like you said, right? It took all these things to get to where they are. But why they kids like that? But it's because that got lost, right? It got lost through translation. It got lost through...
I gotta tell you, this is gonna sound crazy, but the kids that I meet, that I question, it's not that their parents are super wealthy. For me, it's become the opposite.
What is it?
The people I notice that are very, very wealthy in my life, their kids are really, really sweet. I don't know what they're doing, but there's something happening,
right,
where their kids are figuring it out. To me, this is gonna make me look so bad, but I'm gonna do it. Do it. To me, it's the parents that are miserable. It's the parents that are like really got screwed in life, like really badly got screwed in life, and they're still miserable. Those are the ones that I'm noticing,
regardless of
regardless
financial
of
situation,
what their life is. And I'm noticing that is starting to trickle a little bit down, because I think kids are innocent. Like, you cannot... I know I'm in school, my kid is a kid that is getting bullied, and still I'm the parent that's like, no, I'm still going to find empathy.
Right.
Because it's kids, because my childhood trauma started in my childhood, I have a lot of empathy for children.
Right.
And whatever their behavior is, if it's bad or good, I still feel like there's a window where something can be shifted for them.
And it comes from a place.
It comes from a place, and this is a stage, and this is not a reflection of who they're going to be for the rest of their life. So there's a lot of empathy that comes from my way. But when I see their parents, I see how this is, I heard Gabor Mate say something on a podcast one time, that when he was like 2 months old, his mom called the pediatrician and said, you have to come, my kid is crying. Like, I cannot stop this kid from crying. And the pediatrician said, I will come, but I want to let you know all my Jewish kids are crying. Because that was around the time that Nazi Germany was taking over. I believe he was in Budapest at the time. So this 3-month-old is unaware of what's happening, or the war and the world and the Nazis and Jewish, but he is feeling the energy of his mother. So when I see a kid behaving a certain way, and let's just use an example, the kid who's bullying my son, I look at the parent, and it's not the parent that's flying, in my experience, the private jets or super wealthy.
Right.
It's the parent that's genuinely not a happy person, but they're so unaware of their misery because they're not doing any work on themselves that it's just trickling down.
But you're giving me something so real right now, right? Like, okay, you're saying, like, the kid who's bullying my kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael has a totally different way of looking at this.
I'm about to say, hold on. Okay, I get the meditation and I get the higher energy.
Yeah.
I get it. Khatira, I get it. I really do.
You want me to tell you, that Harlem started kindergarten. She, in camp, she's 5 years old. She started kindergarten. We get an email from the school that says, we're so sorry. There was an incident that happened today. Your daughter got slapped.
Nuh-uh.
Across her face. So hard that she might have some redness occurring when you pick her up from school. I read the email, and the way I responded to the email was, oh.
No.
I mean, she's 5.
No.
The girl that slapped my girl, she's 5. She's still learning, keep your hands to yourself.
What did Michael say?
So I wrote back to the email, oh, that's really unfortunate. I'm so glad you guys took care of it. That's it. I will, because in my head, I'm like, my responsibility is to make sure that Harlem feels heard, protected. So
Right.
I'm already preparing myself from picking her up from the bus.
Right.
Let's go get some ice cream. Let's talk about what happened.
Right.
Michael responds, who, period, hit, period, my, period, child, period.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
The
Thank
school
you.
responds back, we don't normally share that detail, but don't worry, we took care of it. Or something like that. I'm sure that's not exactly how they
Right.
said it. He responds back, who, period, hit, period, my, period, child. And then they responded back with the name. And then he went upstairs, got the little placemat that they give you with all the kids' pictures and names.
Oh, and he was like that one.
And he looked for the girl's name. And then he was prepared for his version of talk that he was going to have for Harlem when she comes home from school.
Right.
So, yeah, there's pros to con to my Buddhist way of thinking. And I'm just glad that I have a parent who
can
will
counterbalance that.
Counterbalance
You know,
the
I
two.
think the I am stuttering because this kind of happened to Nyla over summer camp.
Yeah.
She came home
Yeah.
and there was we didn't hear about anything. And then the next morning, her and her sister both went to this camp. And the next morning, her older sister, Nima, was like, yeah, so Nyla got slapped yesterday. And while we're brushing our teeth. And I said, excuse me, what? She said, Nyla got slapped yesterday, but I don't know. I really didn't see it. I don't really know the parameters around it. And don't be wrong, Nyla is a very, she's in her own world type of kid. She is
Yeah.
she loves to sing. She loves to, be energetic. She loves to do all these things, yada, yada, yada. But, Nyla, I could see how someone could either love her or be like, okay, back up, right?
Yeah.
So I get that with my child.
Yeah.
However, I was like, well, how? What?
Your Detroit side came
Everything.
out.
I started studying to my child. I was like, what? What are you talking about? First of all, let's break this down. Why am I just hearing about it this morning instead of yesterday after you came back from camp and I saw you and we talked about everything you did that day at school? I don't understand. I was
Yeah.
literally floored. And
Yeah.
then second thing, I was like, why didn't the camp contact me? So
Yeah.
mad about that. Then I'm immediately taking it to my husband. I'm like, okay, so we have a situation we need to handle. I'm
Yeah,
on top of it
that's
because
Michael.
I just felt then
Yeah.
I'm having a conversation with Nyla and I'm like, this is what we are not going to do.
Yeah.
They get one. That's
Yeah.
fine. One time.
No, that was the
you go tell
conversation
your
Michael
teacher.
had. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You tell your teacher, you tell the
Yeah.
adult. Second time, they get it back.
Yeah.
I just
No,
don't.
he literally was like, this is how you're going to punch her. And I'm sitting there. And she looks at me because she could already tell we're two different parenting styles.
Yes.
She's like, Mom? I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh God. And sometimes Michael's like, you came from
Yeah,
war.
for
I was
real.
like, yeah, that's why I am
I'm trying to
how I
better
am.
myself, okay?
I cannot. And that's because I know I have a ticking bomb.
That's right. You know exactly where it can escalate to.
You don't. The
Yeah.
person that you want to be afraid of is not Michael who wrote that email. It's the mom that says, it's okay.
That's right.
Shit happens.
Yep, that's right.
And I don't want that side of me to ever come out.
Yeah, that takes a lot
You know,
of restraint,
I lost
though.
my mom to pancreatic cancer at 47. So from diagnosis to death was 3 months. And my mom was, you do not fuck with her.
Mm-hmm.
She was a journalist. She was a professor. And she was just hardcore, man. She really was hardcore. And just growing up with a mother like that and watching somebody who was not afraid of confrontation, who was not afraid of conflict, who literally protected her kids like she was a lion in a lot of ways, in some healthy, unhealthy ways.
Right.
But I don't know. I just feel, I sometimes look at her and I look at her dead and I wonder how much pain she must have been in, or how much anger she must have had inside, or how. And this is my only experience, and it's my own experience, and I'm just trying desperately to find peace inside, because at this second stage of my life where I have people dying, I have people with cancer, I have people with stage 4 diagnosis, my goal is to stay alive.
Yeah.
A lot, long enough to see these kids grow up. We're so concerned, especially in this town, where we are, what is our goals, what have we achieved, what's the next Instagram post, have I been this, what are my, and I'm sitting here going, yo, can I just not have cancer? I know that's so dark and that's so...
I mean, you know it's not dark because...
It's because nothing matters the moment you are you are diagnosed with something.
So, you know, I lost my mom. I lost my mom in January to breast cancer.
I reached out to you.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
I didn't need a response, but once someone becomes a mother, once someone experiences postpartum, once someone loses a parent, I become jello. Like I will do whatever you need, because once you're in that club, you can only understand what it really means once you're in that club.
It's true.
And
it's
I
a
am
club that,
so sorry.
Thank you. I mean, same for you though. You know, it's a space that I never would wish upon my darkest enemy, but it's a space that we all at some point will experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, that's interesting that you say that. You know, my mom was the same way. She was a single mom of 3, and she fought cats and dogs for us. I mean, her fight in her was ridiculous.
Same.
She's the strongest person I've ever met by far. So I understand that, right? And it's interesting that now,
again, resilience is not the key.
It's not the key. It really isn't. And she had to be very resilient.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you say, right, like you're looking for peace because you saw all that fight. You saw that in her. And for me, my mom, same way. My mom battled multiple sclerosis for over 35, 40 years. She ended up getting breast cancer and metastasizing to her lungs. And when you say about diagnosis, when we found out it metastasized to her lungs, it was 2 weeks before she died. So it was like, boom, boom. It was just like, wow. And it happened so fast. But my mom was constantly in pain for a better half of her life. And that's what I remember. I remember she always had to fight to get out of bed. She always had to fight to just like be there. She always had to fight mentally, physically for every ounce of happiness she chose to have. She had to fight for it. And I just, when you say to live in peace, you just want to live in peace. It's like, damn, that shit is true.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to have to fight just to be happy. I don't want to fight just to get out of bed. I don't want to have to fight just to put a smile on my face for my kids.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that you start that in every, I'm sorry, we're crying now.
No,
but
I'm sorry.
It's that you start that in every phase of your life, right? Even through your mothering and even through how you respond to things. And I think that's an interesting takeaway for people.
Yeah.
You know, I really do.
But I understand sometimes we don't have a choice. Like your mom didn't have a choice.
Right.
My mother didn't have a choice. So I'm trying to find where is my choice in this.
Right.
And I'm desperately trying to find it. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're a single mom in Detroit.
Right.
And you don't.
Right.
And I feel like for myself, again, I'm only speaking for myself, I do have a choice.
But you know what's interesting you say that is that I don't think my mom knew she had a choice.
Yeah.
So, yes, single mom in Detroit, raising 3 kids, figuring it out through MS, through it all, right? She didn't realize she had a choice. She just knew what she knew.
She was on adrenaline.
She was on adrenaline.
And survival mode.
She was on survival mode.
Yeah.
But I think what's so important is for the mental health, right? Like now people are a lot more aware. Like we understand. I think it's important to make everyone realize there is a choice. No matter what circumstance you're in, there's a choice.
I have to tell you, I've been down this road so many times. I've been in these trauma retreats where there's like 75 people there, and one by one they're raising their hands, and you're talking about, I was raped multiple times, I was sexually molested, I don't have an arm, I don't have a leg, I'm diagnosed with this, I'm dealing with breast cancer. And there is a moment where you sit there, you're like, I get why some people feel like there's no choice.
I do too.
I get it.
I do too.
I get why you stand there and you're like, this is so fucking unfair.
It is.
And for that, I feel like I owe it to them to say, wait, I do have a choice. I am extremely privileged. I may not have been, but I am today.
Right.
And recognizing your privilege is I think one of the 5 first steps of self-awareness.
I agree with that.
Because the moment, and whatever that could be. So the way I parent, I've chosen, we all as parents choose our battles. And one of the 3 battles I've chosen is to make sure that my kids understand what empathy looks like. And if I can give them the gift of empathy, maybe they could move through this world a little bit easier. Because if you have empathy and someone is bullying you, or someone's being mean to you, or someone's doing this, or you're dealing with anxiety, or you're dealing with depression, if your foundation is empathy, you will find a way to just empathize with the situation and learn the gift of not taking it personal.
I was just about to say, not taking it on. Not
It
taking
is
it on.
not for you to take this on. I think I'm 41 years old, and I swear to God, I am just now scratching the surface. I have been so tortured my whole life by not knowing how to not take things personal, feeling misunderstood, losing friendships, losing relationships, saying the wrong thing in situations. You got a good sense of energy. Someone else got, I don't know, her energy seems a little toxic.
Right.
Who knows how I move through this world and how I show myself. But if you know not to take it personal, none of that matters anymore.
That's the gift you can give yourself.
But it is so hard. And if I could try to help my kids learn that at an early age, just maybe they have like a slight fighting chance, because I told you they have it 10 times harder than we do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I could talk to you all day,
Sorry.
to be honest with you. No, don't be sorry. I knew this conversation was going to go places that I was excited to go, but yet I knew it was going to go deep, right? Like I knew it was going to go to places and me learn more about you than I think I've ever would have realized during a conversation we just would have had.
But now you know why I don't have any friends.
Well, now I know. Now,
Like, God damn, you're depressing.
now I know why I have to be a cactus in your life and not a flowering, watering plant in your life.
No, you could be. People need to just show up who they are.
That's right.
If I run across someone that's authentically themselves, my goodness, my level of respect for you. And that could mean you're bad, good, whatever the world has decided to label you. Just be you.
That's right.
And I have so much respect for that, because in a world where everything is curated, I never know what I'm getting.
You really don't.
I
You
don't.
really don't.
And it's just so refreshing when someone's like, like, this is my shit.
Look, I mean, or this is me.
Or this is me.
This is it.
I'm
This
a
is me.
tropical plant, or I'm a cactus plant.
I'm a cactus. What
I
you
think
want me to do?
it's
I'm a
absolutely
cactus.
beautiful. I'll take it as long as you're you, and I'm okay with
I will
that.
take you,
Yeah.
like I said before, any day of the week.
Aw.
I sure would.
Well,
Thank
you're
you.
1 out of 3.
No,
So
I'm
I'll
1 out of
take it.
4. 2 kids,
Oh, yeah.
a husband. I'm 1 out of 4. I'm good with that. I'll take those odds any day. Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. I really appreciate you. I adore you. Thank you.